The Jedi are under attack across the galaxy. In the wake of Savong Law's proclamation the invasion will stop if all Jedi are turned over to the Yuuzhan Vong, Knights and Padawans alike have been forced to go into hiding. Other unlucky ones are killed by mobs or are captured and sacrificed by the Yuuzhan Vong War Master. The division in the Jedi themselves, factions led by Master Luke Skywalker and Kip Duran, has only grown. Kip scorns the New Republic and its peoples, saying they are not worthy of being defended by the Order anymore. Luke remains resolute on the Jedi's duty to support and defend, not carry out attacks of aggression. The war effort for the New Republic has stagnated into ferrying refugees from planet to planet, only providing the Yuuzhan Vong new targets to attack. Luke, Jacen, Jaina, and Anakin all realize the Jedi Paraxium on Yavin 4 is likely to be attacked sooner rather than later. Luke tells the Solos he has already requested for New Republic aid, but it may be weeks before his ship is able to evacuate everyone. Anakin remains silent. His close friend, Tahiri, is still at the academy. Disobeying Luke's orders, Anakin takes the starfighter to Yavin 4, eluding several Peace Brigade ships on the way down to the surface. He reunites with his old teachers and Tahiri. They plan to evacuate the children first. Tahiri wants to stay behind and help fight the Peace Brigade. Anakin meets with Master Akrit, who warns him his anger towards the Yuuzhan Vong will burn him one day. The Peace Brigade ships begin to attack Yavin 4. Anakin finds Tahiri, Valen Horn, and his other friend Sana, who have stayed behind to help him fight. Anakin and the children decide to take control of a Peace Brigade ship to escape the moon. Meanwhile, Talon Karrde, a smuggler, arrives with a small company of ships to help the evacuation. Master Akrit sacrifices himself to buy time for Anakin and his friends to take to the air along with Remus Ven, a captured Peace Brigade member, but Tahiri ejects herself to go back for their teacher. Anakin flies away, but vows to return for Tahiri. Karrde is able to pick up the rest of the Jedi and take to space in orbit around Yavin 4. On the surface, Anakin's ship is shot down, stranding him, Sana, Valen, and Remus in the jungle. Anakin leaves the other three to find Tahiri in the Jedi Paraxium. The Yuuzhan Vong arrive in the Yavin system, complicating things even further. Karrde decides to stay and harry the invaders, as Anakin and the other Jedi are still on the surface. Meanwhile, a former Imperial TIE pilot named Coral runs into Anakin, who puts him in charge of watching the captive Remus. Remus, in turn, is charged with repairing their ship. Chief of State Boris Vela condemns Anakin's solo mission to the Yavin system. It is implied he also knew already the Yuuzhan Vong intended to enter the system, and that negotiations are already underway. Luke maintains his composure, but is furious internally. Later, Jacen and Jaina learn of Mara's pregnancy. Anakin runs into a Dovin basal on his speeder and is able to destroy it, but his lightsaber and speeder are rendered useless. He must continue on foot. Meanwhile, Master Mezon Quad and her aide Nen Yim touch down on Yavin 4. They are part of the Yuuzhan Vong Shaper caste, their equivalent of scientists. One of their subjects will be the captured Tahiri. Anakin encounters another group of Yuuzhan Vong warriors, but is saved by a mutilated rogue warrior named Vwa Rapung. Tahiri is subjected to several experiments designed to shape her mind and make her think she is a Yuuzhan Vong. This proposed creation of Jedi Yuuzhan Vong hybrids is dangerously heretical, however. Vwa Rapung agrees to help Anakin reach the Shaper compound where Tahiri is being held. His body was mutilated by the Shapers to deform him, and Vwa is now part of the Shamed One's case in Yuuzhan Vong society. It is also revealed Mezon Quad was responsible for his deformities because he rejected her love. The two begin their journey, becoming accustomed with each other's alien cultures and norms. They eventually reach Mezon Quad's base, and Anakin is disguised as Vwa's slave. By now, Tahiri is now fully fluent in the native Yuuzhan Vong language and has even forgotten her name, but is still resisting the alterations of her memories. Anakin reaches an epiphany regarding the Force, considering it now a tool or manifestation of his own galaxy to serve something far more fundamental. He believes the Yuuzhan Vong fell to the dark side of their galaxy's respective manifestation long ago. Anakin is able to use a biological lambent crystal he harvested as a slave to fix his lightsaber. Tahiri's shaping is interrupted by Commander Sakvuta, who detains Mezon and her aide for conducting heretical experiments on the Jedi. Anakin learns he can now sense the Yuuzhan Vong's existence, but not in the Force, seemingly confirming his earlier theory. He and Voix sneak into the compound and search for Mezon and Tahiri. They arrive in time to see Tahiri and the two Shapers being led away by Sakvuta. Anakin and Voix confront the group, but Tahiri now fully believes her new identity to be Rena Quad. Nonetheless, they are able to get Mezon to confess to ruining Voix and his martial reputation, and most stunningly, that she denounces the existence of the gods. The Shaper lashes out, transforming her fingers into spears that kill the commander and mortally wound Voix. Anakin is also hurt, and his lightsaber floats in the air. Tahiri grabs it and decapitates Mezon Quad, but still doesn't have a full grasp on her old memories. Anakin confesses his love for her, which turns her back but still retains her knowledge of the Yuuzhan Vong. The surrounding warriors attack Anakin and Tahiri, but a dying Voix stands in their way to buy them time. Using Tahiri's new knowledge, they are able to escape in a Yuuzhan Vong ship, but soon crash. Remus, Ven, and Coral then fly in, having fixed their Peace Brigade ship, and rescue the two Jedi. They reunite with Talon Karrde's forces above Yavin 4. On Coruscant, Luke and Mara pondered the name of their upcoming son. They are interrupted with news that Borsk Fela, in response to Savong Law's proclamation, has issued warrants for their arrests. Fortunately, they have been warned hours in advance so they can flee the planet, but Luke and Mara are now effectively in exile. The virus that Nominor reinfected Mara with, however, begins to take a serious toll on the Jedi, threatening the lives of her and her unborn son. They contact Jaina, who has also been on Coruscant waiting for Rogue Squadron to recall her, after she was wounded in action. Luke, Mara, and several fellow Jedi will meet their niece in orbit. Their escape is aided by Gavin Darklighter and Rogue Squadron. Luke asks Jaina to find Kip Duran, who is somewhere near Cernfadal, as he believes it is time once more for the Jedi to band together. She is able to rendezvous with Kip and his X-Wing squadron at the planet. Kip agrees to meet with Luke as long as Jaina can put him in contact with several prominent military leaders in the New Republic. Luke and Mara, meanwhile, reunite with their fellow Jedi on the Star Destroyer Errant Venture. Kip shows Jaina an image of a massive Yuuzhan Vong ship being grown on Cernfadal, their equivalent of a superweapon. He wants to destroy it before it becomes fully operational. Jaina arranges a meeting between Kip and General Wedge Antilles. Wedge is hesitant to attack Cernfadal, as there is no evidence the Yuuzhan Vong creation serves a military purpose. Jaina is able to convince Wedge to join the attack, however, stating she trusts Kip. Afterwards, Kip asks Jaina to become his apprentice. Meanwhile, Mara's condition worsens, and she and Luke search desperately for ways to save their child. The battle breaks out over Cernfadal, and Luke on the Errant Venture attempts to channel the dark side to expel the virus, which is felt by Jacen, Anakin, and Jaina across the galaxy. He is unsuccessful, but he and Mara are able to combine their force strength with their child's and defeat the virus. It is revealed the Yuuzhan Vong creation is sucking energy from Cernfadal's sun, but seems to have no military purpose. Kip has lied to Jaina and Wedge, and has incited an attack on Yuuzhan Vong civilians, claiming it is retribution for the destruction and death they have brought to the galaxy. He has the support of many soldiers, but not Jaina, Wedge, or Gavin Darklighter. Furious, Jaina leaves to find the Errant Venture. Following the conquest of Yavin 4 and its evacuation of the Jedi Paraxium, Anakin Solo now looks after Tahiri on the Star Destroyer Errant Venture. He is also accompanied by the Jedi Knight Corran Horn. Anakin is still remarkably able to sense the Yuuzhan Vong due to the lambent crystal he used to rebuild his lightsaber. He, Corran, and Tahiri venture down to the planet of Ariadu to gather supplies for the ship. The bond between Anakin and Tahiri continues to grow. On Eriadu, Anakin and Tahiri attempt to rescue a Rodian Jedi from the Peace Brigade. The knight dies in their arms but whispers a mysterious phrase, Yagdul, before breathing his last. It seems to reference a planet nearby Eriadu. Anakin and Tahiri are detained by local authorities who harbor anti-Jedi sentiments. They manage to escape and run back to Corrin in their shuttle and try to jump to hyperspace to rendezvous with the errant venture. Anakin changes course through the Yagdul system. Unfortunately, their jump drops them in the middle of a Yuuzhan Vong fleet. They abandon ship and stake out on an asteroid to scout the fleet. Their asteroid turns out to be a Yuuzhan Vong ship, which suddenly activates. Anakin, Tahiri, and Corrin break inside and fight their way to the control room. The ship is only lightly guarded and seems to be a scout for the fleet, which appears to be headed to Yagdul. They learn from the prisoners on board the Jedi are now seen as salvation for the shamed Yuuzhan Vong, and attempt to hail the native Yavin to warn them of the invasion. Unfortunately for them, the ever-present Numenor is disguised as a Yavin on the surface, and it seems a faction of the Yavin are sympathetic to the Yuuzhan Vong. They decide to land on a space station and warn the government themselves. The Yavin are skeptical of the Jedi's claims and decide to hold them as political prisoners and negotiating tools with the Yuuzhan Vong. However, the invasion soon commences, and the Jedi are soon freed. They encounter Numenor, who turns down Anakin's challenge of a duel. Anakin instead battles Shok Choka, a massive warrior, and wins. They flee with Corrin separating to find spacesuits and Anakin and Tahiri hiding in a locker, where they kiss. Meanwhile, Numenor kills the other warriors to prevent them from telling others of his disgraceful refusal to duel Anakin. All the while, the battle for Yagdul rages just outside the space station. Suddenly, the Yuuzhan Vong fleet withdraws. Anakin, Corrin, and Tahiri return to the errant venture, where they find Mara has completely recovered once more and has given birth to a son named Ben Skywalker. Jacen is traveling aboard the Millennium Falcon with Han and Leia. They have been tasked with setting up a series of safe routes and houses for the Jedi to hide from the Yuuzhan Vong and their supporters. Jacen must take extra precautions since Savong Law has personally issued a bounty on his head. The first base they establish is in the Maw, a cluster of black holes. They also learn from Lando Calrissian that the Peace Brigade-controlled planets are now supplying the Yuuzhan Vong using their trade routes. While Jacen has re-embraced using the Force, he still struggles with his internal dialogue over the ethics of killing the Yuuzhan Vong and how best to apply his gifts. The conflicting emotions he has over the war don't align with Han's, leading to several arguments between father and son. They travel to Tatooine to set up a safe house, and are unknowingly tracked by War Master Savong Law himself. His warship attacks the Millennium Falcon after Han refuses to hand Jacen over. They manage to escape, and Jacen and Han reconcile. Adept Nen Yim managed to escape from Yavin 4 following Anakin and Tahiri's escape and the death of her Shaper Master. She is stationed on the Banu Mir world ship, which is dying. Nen Yim decides to continue the heretical practices she learned under Mezan Quad. She believes heresy is necessary to save the thousands of Yuuzhan Vong aboard. The ship's condition continues to worsen, and a quarter of the population on board dies when the ship ruptures and is exposed to the vacuum of space. To further her knowledge, Nen Yim must be able to access the deeper cortexes of the Gasa, the Yuuzhan Vong equivalent of a computer. Only Master Shapers, however, can gain entry beyond the 5th cortex and eventually the ultimate 8th cortex. She enters the tutelage of the eccentric Master Shaper K Quad, who she immediately desires to kill. He seems to refuse to concentrate his efforts on fixing the ship, instead favoring trivial and meaningless projects. Nonetheless, Nen Yim is eventually granted access to the higher cortexes of the Casa, unlocking a new wealth of knowledge. She comes to several important realizations. The ship cannot be saved, and there are no new protocols or knowledge given to her people from the gods. Nen Yim pushes towards the 8th cortex and finds it doesn't even exist. This means the dearth of Yuuzhan Vong knowledge has already been learned, and they are reaching the plateau of their technology. She awakens to find Master Kay Quad, who takes her to see Supreme Overlord Shimra. It is revealed Kay is actually Onimi, Shimra's shamed familiar. However, Supreme Overlord Shimra tells Nen Yim he had a vision in which he was appointed master, and encourages her to continue her heretical studies using his personal resources. She will be the first to embark on the new path. Mara Jade and Jaina Solo are flying the Jade Saber, tracking the Nebula Chaser. They are looking to rescue 2 Jedi Knights who are fleeing the Yuuzhan Vong. A Yuuzhan Vong warship halts the Nebula Chaser, and several warriors board with a strange creature. It is a Voxin, a scaly predator that seems to be somehow able to track the Jedi through their presence in the Force. It attacks the Jedi Knights, killing one with a strange brown acidic mucus. The other knight, Alema, manages to take the body in an escape pod and flee the ship. Noma Nor, as a Yuuzhan Vong emissary, meets with Han and Leia in the Bilbringi shipyards. He shows them a hologram of the Nebula Chaser and its prisoners and offers them safe harbor in exchange for the location of the secret Jedi base. When Leia refuses, the Yuuzhan Vong destroy the ship. He reveals the Yuuzhan Vong will continue to destroy refugee ships until the Jedi surrender. Reporting back to Savong Law, Nomenor believes the Jedi will respond to the proclamation. However, Vergir has now re-entered the fold, believing the Order will not fall for Nomenor's trap. The Jedi learn of the Voxin threat, which soon hunt and kill 2 more knights. Han and Leia accompany a squad on a mission to hunt down Voxin to study them further, and are able to capture a live specimen. Later, Leia and Jacen attend a state meeting with Boris Vela and Vicky Shesh, 2 prominent anti-Jedi voices in the New Republic. The Senate narrowly votes to potentially send 3 Star Destroyers to attack the Yuuzhan Vong blockade around the refugee ships. Boris Vela, however, has lost some of his power and can only concede to allowing for a military study of the situation, believing the risk of losing 3 powerful ships and several planets to be substantial. Leia is furious at the inaction and leaves the session, vowing to never appear before their committees again. As more Jedi die to the Voxin, the healer Silgal eventually deduces that all the hunters are cloned. Meanwhile, Vicky Shesh suggests to Savong Law their purposes would be further that Boris Vela was eliminated. Lando Calrissian has also designed new YVH battle droids, styled to look like Yuuzhan Vong warriors. At another meeting with Luke, Silgal confines the original Voxin was likely from the Merkur system. Anakin proposes a mission to destroy the cloning facility. A false traitor will turn over several Jedi to the Yuuzhan Vong near Obroa Sky, where they will then take over the ship and pilot it to Merkur. The strike force will include Anakin as its leader, Jacen, Jaina, Tahiri, Tenel Ka Jo, and several other Jedi. Anakin rejects Luke's volunteering for the mission, stating he is too important to the New Republic and Jedi. Jacen forms a mental bond between himself and the team, serving as their emotional anchor. The transfer and fake betrayal takes place, and the 17 Jedi and 2 YVH droids are moved to the Yuuzhan Vong ship Exquisite Death. Meanwhile, Nomenor addresses Boris Vela and the New Republic Senate. He tells them the deadline to hand over all the Jedi has been extended, and of the supposed capture of 17 Jedi. Nomenor, however, was unaware that Jacen and Jaina were twins, which seems to hold some significance in Yuuzhan Vong culture. Boris Vela asserts the Yuuzhan Vong have attempted to assassinate him during the negotiations. The Senate dissolves into chaos, and Nomenor flees Coruscant and meets with Savong Law once more. It is revealed that twins are incredibly rare among the Yuuzhan Vong, and one will always kill the other and become destined to lead their empire. Vergir continues to rile Nomenor. As advisor to Savong Law, she is now one of his main political rivals. The goal shifts to delivering both Solo twins alive to Overlord Shimra. On the Yuuzhan Vong ship, Anakin's strike team attempts to commandeer a ship, resulting in a fight. They are subdued and imprisoned, with the Jedi Ulaha being badly wounded. After surviving several attempts to mentally break them, the Jedi manage to escape and take control of the ship. Anakin disappointedly still detects some reservation in Jacen. The exquisite death reaches Merkur, as well as a Yuuzhan Vong world ship. Anakin detects the presence of Voxin and, surprisingly, Jedi there. Ulaha and a YVH droid sacrifice themselves to distract the Yuuzhan Vong on the ship, as the rest of the strike team ejects to infiltrate the world ship. Finally closer to the source of Voxin cloning, they move further into the Banu Ras world ship and soon encounter the captives Lomi Plo and Welk, dark Jedi from the Solos past. They agree to help the team in exchange for being freed, and learn Nominor has also arrived on the world ship. Luke, Mara, Han, and Leia join a massive force to break the blockade around the refugee ships at Tel Faglio. They defeat the Yuuzhan Vong fleet there. Upon learning this, Savong Law orders for 2 attacks on Borleias and Risi. He initiates the final plan to strike at Coruscant. Nominor arrives with Vergir, who detects a hiding Jacen and Gander through the force, but does not alert anyone. The strike force continues to follow Lomi and Welk. On Coruscant, the double agent Vicky Shesh continues to stir anti-Jedi sentiment, chastising the Order for acting independently of the elected government and the military. Luke now detects the darkness in her, but decides to wait and see if he can discern its source. Anakin's strike force draws nearer to the cloning facility, battling many Yuuzhan Vong warriors and Voxin along the way. They must kill the Voxin Queen at any cost. The Dark Jedi, however, learned the escape shuttle was destroyed during the infiltration. The team is ambushed when the Yuuzhan Vong disguised as humans attack the Jedi in the midst of a mob of slaves. Jaina is wounded and several Jedi die from attacks by acidic blow rash jelly. Anakin valiantly fights off countless Yuuzhan Vong but is stabbed in the stomach by an amphistaff. The team flees, still taking casualties as they run. They reach the heart of the world ship and encounter dozens of Voxin nests. Anakin's condition continues to worsen. Moving quietly through the nest, they miraculously find an abandoned light freighter. Pommy and Welk, while fixing the ship, stun the Jedi Lobaka and fly away, abandoning the team. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Vicky Shesh attempts a daring kidnapping of Ben Skywalker, Luke and Mara's son. She is foiled by Leia, but manages to escape. The strike force doggedly fights on despite the betrayal, inching closer to the Queen. A Yuuzhan Vong force appears from behind to ambush them, and Anakin turns to fight them off and give the group time to run. The force enters him from all sides, turning him into a maelstrom of power. Anakin tells Jacen he is now in charge and orders him to take out the Queen. An aura of light surrounds the young Jedi in his dying charge. Anakin Solo dies, sacrificing himself to save his team and becomes one with the Force. His loss is felt across the galaxy by Luke and Leia. Jacen and Jaina, reeling from the loss of their younger brother, push on to destroy the Queen. Jaina turns around to find Anakin's body, while Jacen leads the survivors onwards. She encounters Vergir, who seems to be familiar with handling lightsabers, and several Yuuzhan Vong. Jaina briefly gives in to her anger and electrocutes several warriors with Force lightning. She is able to recover Anakin's body. Meanwhile, Jacen sees Nominor meet with Vergir, who carries Anakin's lightsaber. Jaina bursts in piloting a frigate, radiating a cold anger that Jacen feels in the Force. Surprisingly, Vergir suddenly appears out of the shadows and urges them to pursue the fleeing Voxin Queen. At long last, the Yuuzhan Vong begin their attack on Coruscant itself. The space surrounding the heart of the galaxy lights up with explosions and starfighters. To preserve refugee lives, they are forced to lower the mine defense system and let civilian and enemy ships alike through. However, the Yuuzhan Vong pilot refugee ships into the planet's shields to destroy them and land ground troops. The New Republic is able to put up a stubborn defense, but the Yuuzhan Vong arrive in massively overwhelming numbers. Luke and his Jedi and their starfighters valiantly defend the planet, destroying 4 Yamas. Despite massive losses on both sides, the battle slowly slides to the Yuuzhan Vong's favor. On the surface, Vicky Shesh tries one last time to abduct Ben, but fails again and is pursued by Leia. The Senator escapes once more, and Han and Leia are forced to take to the air in the Millennium Falcon. The surviving Jedi finally confront the Voxin Queen. Jacen orders the others to find Jaina and the shuttle to prepare for escape. He battles the Voxin Queen and kills it with the help of Vergir. His head spinning, Jacen is stunned to hear Vergir take his comlink and tell his friends to flee. "You have won your battles. Now you pay." Jacen is captured by Vergir, who reveals she can read his thoughts in the Force, and is handed over as a captive to the Yuuzhan Vong. Jaina is forced to flee the world ship, vowing to return for her brother. As the population of Coruscant evacuates, Borsk Vela attempts one final gambit. As he watches thousands of Yuuzhan Vong troops land on the galaxy's capital, he wires a secret bomb and prepares to meet with Savong La, hoping to detonate the bomb and kill the War Master. However, Savong La has foreseen this move and is not on the surface when Borsk dies and the bomb detonates, killing thousands. The Yuuzhan Vong War Master pushes for the captures of Jacen and Jaina solo, who he plans to sacrifice to the gods to abate a growing infection that has already forced him to amputate his arm. Of the Jedi team that infiltrated the Merkur system to kill the Voxin Queen, only 9 are able to escape. Anakin Solo is dead, his older brother Jacen now a captive of the Yuuzhan Vong. However, because the Yuuzhan Vong hold the twins in high, sacred regard, they are only seeking to capture Jaina and not kill her. They manage to escape, jumping into hyperspace. Jaina plans to stop briefly in Coruscant space, then jump again to Galanor in the Hapes cluster. Their ship arrives at Coruscant to find it ablaze with war, but manages to rendezvous with Han and Leia in the Millennium Falcon. All the while, their ship is tracked by Khalid La, the son of Sambong La, and his priest Harar. Khalid is almost fanatically driven to capture Jaina, so the Yuuzhan Vong can perform a twin sacrifice. The Millennium Falcon joins the horde of refugees from Coruscant that have flocked to the Hapes system. Leia is unsure about the state of the ruling family, as the Hapen fleet was decimated by Centerpoint Station nearly 2 years ago. Prince Isolde, the fleet's commander at the time, faced great shame for the defeat and has had several assassination attempts on his life since then. The former Queen Mother, Ta'a Shum, chafes at the weakening of her people, believing Teneniel Jo to be a failing ruler. Teneniel's only child is Tenel Ka, who chose the life of a Jedi instead of the royal court. The Queen was pregnant for a time with a second child, but the shock of the Centerpoint disaster resulted in a stillbirth and greatly weakened her condition. Consequently, Ta'a Shum begins to plot to supplant Teneniel from the throne. She favors Jaina Solo as a potential replacement. Jaina renames their Yuuzhan Vong ship to the Trickster, a play on the name of a prominent Yuuzhan Vong god. She assures her fellow Jedi she will not fall to the dark side out of its desire for vengeance. Jaina believes that in the wake of the fall of Coruscant, now more than ever, the Jedi must act decisively. They cannot afford philosophical schisms, even those akin to Jacen and Anakin's. She and the Jedi Lobaka manage to block the flow of information from their ship to Khalid La's Yamask. Meanwhile, the Chiss pilot Jagged Fell and his squadron also make a hyperspace jump toward Hapes. A surge in the Force suddenly hits Jaina and the Jedi, seemingly implying Jacen's death. Jaina refuses to give in to her emotions and numbs herself, focusing instead on reaching Hapes. Notably, however, she did not explicitly sense his death, nor did Leia. Kip Duran and Jagged Fell fly out to rendezvous with the Trickster and escort it to Hapes. Jaina finally reunites with her parents, bringing them Anakin's body. Leia still believes Jacen to be alive. Jaina is summoned to the Hapen Royal Palace to meet Ta'a Shum. She admits she still feels anger for the loss of her brothers, uncomfortably aware that it is a path to the dark side. However, in her mind, the distinction was beginning to blur between the light and dark. To Jaina, it is now most important to act now and live with the results. Tenel Ka visits her father, Prince Isolde. Isolde has been researching the Yuuzhan Vong religion and the reverence of Yun Harla, the trickster goddess, and Yun Yamka, the slayer. Although Tenel Ka is now under pressure to succeed her mother as ruler, she still feels her destiny is to be a Jedi and warrior. She is given a hollow cue from her mother, which in turn is to be granted to the successor to the throne, whoever it may be. Shum approaches Jaina once more, who rebuffs the idea of Leia becoming ruler with Jaina as her intermediary. However, she does not realize that the former Queen Mother is plotting for Jaina to marry Isildur and become ruler herself. To accomplish this, Shum also plots to kill Jagged Fel, Jaina's romantic interest. A formal funeral for Anakin is held, his body burned on a pyre. Jaina begins to consider becoming Kip Duran's apprentice, a decision that bothers her other Jedi friends who depart from Hapes. Lobaka stays behind, and with Jaina works to block the trickster's tracking mechanism. The Yuuzhan Vong, led by Khalid Law, begin to send probing forces out to Hapes. Leia is troubled she cannot sense Jaina through the Force as strongly as she could before. Jaina tells her mother she has begun to work on the recent technology developed by Danny Kui. The scientist was able to figure out how to block the Yuuzhan Vong's Yamask signals, but Jaina wants to expand on that and send them misinformation instead. She creates decoy signals of the trickster that will be used to lure the Yuuzhan Vong into traps. Frustrated by the lack of progress on their end, Khalid Law decides to move the fleet to the Hapes cluster to find Jaina once and for all. They strike at the trickster's signature, hoping to find the ship that has eluded them for so long, but are ambushed by Jaina and Kip's squadron and forced to retreat. Shum formally approaches Jaina and proposes she become the warrior queen Hapes needs. Jaina refuses. Meditating later, she has a disturbing vision where she battles a Dark Lord of the Sith, revealed to be Jacen, and kills him. Shum poisons Teneniel Joe, putting Hapes in a precarious position. Tenel Ka gives an emerald ring to Jagged Fel, granting him command of the rebuilt Hapes fleet. It is also Tenel Ka who agrees to become the new Queen Mother of Hapes and galvanizes its military to fight against the Yuuzhan Vong. As they move out to battle Khalid Law's forces, Jaina contacts Savong Law through a villa, mocking him once more for failing to find her. She has another vision in which she nearly falls to the temptations of the dark side, even channeling dark lightning. Surprisingly, in a moment of clarity, she recalls Kip Duran's own personal redemption from the dark side, and realizes that, despite their enmity, he can help save her. In the end, Jaina is able to let go of her anger and desire to avenge her brothers, and looks to become the person she was before. Khalid Law, having failed to capture Jaina, commits suicide out of humiliation. General Wedge Antilles is leading Fleet Group 3, a force intent on retaking the planet of Borleias from the Yuuzhan Vong. Among the warriors involved are Luke and Mara Skywalker, Corran Horn, and Lando Calrissian. With their combined strength and Lando's YVH droids, they are able to establish a base of operations on the planet. It is critical that Borleias is retaken and consolidated as a helping point for refugees, as it lies at the intersection of numerous hyperspace routes. Wedge also believes it will provide a much-needed victory for the New Republic and boost morale. A transport carrying the remnants of former Chief of State Borsk Feyle's advisory council arrives on the planet. Former Senator Vicky Shesh is now held in captivity by the Yuuzhan Vong. She was instrumental in helping orchestrate the assault on Coruscant, but her usefulness has now expired and she expects to be executed. As a final attempt to save herself, she tries to convince War Master Savong Law his shapers have betrayed him. Their modifications on his arm are being rejected by his body, and Vicky tells him this is an attempt to turn him into a shamed one. Her life is spared. The council members meet with Wedge, Luke, and Mara. They give orders for Wedge to hold Borleias at all costs. Mara whispers to Luke, believing they intend to let the planet be retaken by the Yuuzhan Vong so the counselors have time to settle a peace deal with the invaders. Wedge refuses to accept the orders, not trusting the counselors and preferring to operate independently of their control. Instead, he demands he will only accept his mission if given control of all local forces, the massive warship Lusankia, and the freedom to recruit other military officers to join him. The counselors accept the terms, believing Wedge's cause to be a lost one anyways. Luke and Wedge decide to create a secret resistance force called the Insiders, independent of the New Republic, and composed of hidden cells across the galaxy that will fight against the Yuuzhan Vong. Later, Luke has a vision telling him of a great evil in Coruscant, not related to the Yuuzhan Vong, but instead of the dark side itself. William Yuuzhan, a historian, and his aide Tam Elgrin arrive at Borleias. The Yuuzhan Vong have already begun reshaping the surface of Coruscant, destroying its many levels of construction and rendering the atmosphere poisonous. Tam, however, is revealed to be a hidden agent of the Yuuzhan Vong, subjected to being mentally controlled by the aliens and Vicky Shesh. He has been tasked with sowing discord and paranoia within the Borleias base. Werpuk Shah's fleet is sent to Borleias to crush the New Republic. Knowing he cannot hold the planet, Wedge decides to turn the campaign into a war of attrition, slowly giving ground while bleeding the Yuuzhan Vong for as many casualties as possible. As battle begins to break out, a super Star Destroyer arrives. It is the Lusankya alongside the Millennium Falcon. This disrupts Wedge's plan, as the first skirmish was intended to be abortive action to assess the enemy's strength. Now the fleet instead is forced to attack Chaw's ships and outright defeat them, potentially setting the stage for a stronger Yuuzhan Vong forces to be sent to the system. After a successful withdrawal, Han and Leia are recruited into the Insiders. Luke continues to be troubled by the evil he senses on Coruscant and plans a mission to the planet. In the wake of Chaw's defeat, Savong La consults his father, Sul Kang La. He asks him to take a fleet to Borleias and avenge the Yuuzhan Vong's embarrassment. Nen Yim is also summoned to examine Savong La's implant. Jaina, Kip Duran, and Lobaka arrive on Borleias, also accompanied by the Chiss pilot Jagged Fell. Jaina is given command of the Twin Suns Squadron. She will also adopt a new persona as the avatar of Yun Harla, the trickster goddess, and specialize in psychological warfare against the Yuuzhan Vong. Jagged Fell and Kip also join the Twin Suns. Jaina looks to experience with a new force link between her, Kip, and Jagged. In the squadron's first battle action, the Yuuzhan Vong eject hostages from the warships towards the planet. They are able to save all but 4. Jaina is still recovering mentally from her brush with the dark side and is unable to let go of her cold hatred for the Yuuzhan Vong. She wants to go with Luke and Mara to Coruscant, but is dissuaded by Tahiri, who takes her place. Mara decides to accompany Luke to Coruscant, and Leia and Han take the Millennium Falcon to ferry Jedi students to the hidden base in the mall. Wedge Antilles feeds the Vong misinformation about a super weapon called the Star Lancer, hoping to bait them into attack once more. However, Sul Kang La instead targets Jaina's squadron, which narrowly escapes. A test of Star Lancer strikes Savong La's world ship, but only causes minimal damage. Meanwhile, Tam Elgrin is tasked with killing Danny Kui, but finds he cannot bring himself to do so, fighting his conditioning. Concerned with the threat Star Lancer may pose, Savong La orders his father into an all-out attack on Borleias. Upon seeing the Yuuzhan Vong forces mass for their offensive, Wedge initiates Operation Emperor's Hammer. Lando prepares to ferry Luke and Mara's team, which now includes Danny Kui and Tahiri, to Coruscant under the cover of the impending battle. The team successfully lands, with Lando returning to Borleias to rejoin the battle. The battle begins with the X-Wing squadrons putting up a valiant resistance. Once again, however, the Yuuzhan Vong numbers are too overwhelming, and Wedge's forces are pushed back. The ground base becomes overrun. Then the New Republic forces dig in, finding cover, and the Lusankya appears in the sky and begins to orbitally bombard the planet, annihilating the Yuuzhan Vong ground troops. Sul Kang La is forced to withdraw. As the defense of Borleias continues, Luke, Mara, and Tahiri look to find the mysterious dark force hidden on Coruscant. Jaina's reputation as the embodiment of the trickster goddess has continued to grow among the Yuuzhan Vong, who are still intent on capturing her alive. She has also developed a romantic relationship with Jagged Fell. Meanwhile, the Yuuzhan Vong spy Tam Elgrin is discovered and his mental conditioning is broken. He is pardoned by General Wedge Antilles for his actions. Luke's team learns of the alleged presence of Lord Nyax, a dark mythological figure. Leia and Han leave Borleias to get in contact with the resistance cells on planets sympathetic to the Yuuzhan Vong. On Afrin 4, they are detained and imprisoned, but manage to barely escape with the help of R2-D2 and C-3PO. They fly back to Borleias, on the way also learning the Yuuzhan Vong's new commander is Savong Law's father. War Master Savong Law continues to search for evidence of a Shaper conspiracy against his leadership. Miraculously, Vicky Shesh has been proven right, although entirely by accident. However, she is sent to Coruscant to find a team of Jedi believed to be there causing havoc. With the help of Nen Yim, Savong Law uncovers the Shaper's conspiracy and executes those involved by feeding them to a rancor. Continuing to track the dark energy, Luke's team enters a vast scientific complex. They learn from a droid that mysterious Lord Nyax is a 3-meter-tall, Force-sensitive male. Dismembered bodies of Yuuzhan Vong and Voxin alike litter the floor as they press on. They discover the fake Lord Nyax is actually Irek Ismarin, a dark Jedi whose mind is broken and replaced with machinery. He was genetically engineered by his mother to become the most powerful dark Jedi to ever exist. Irek plots to construct a massive Force nexus underneath the old Jedi temple. Meanwhile, Vicky Shesh's team of Yuuzhan Vong warriors is also hunting Irek. They encounter Irek at the same time as Mara and attack. Mara watches as red lightsabers emerge from all over Irek's body, and he begins to slaughter the Yuuzhan Vong with ease. Luke and his team join the fray. The floor crumbles beneath them, and Irek flees the battle. Luke, Mara, and Tahiri chase them across the ruins of Coruscant. Confronting him once more, they mentally battle Irek until a wall breaks down, unleashing the Force Nexus. Force energies fly out, toppling the spires of the Jedi Council. Vicky Shesh, meanwhile, separates from the Yuuzhan Vong and attempts to find a ship to escape. Unable to find one, she knows capture and death is now an inevitability and commits suicide. Luke, Tahiri, and Mara battle Irek once more as he absorbs the Force energy swirling around him. With Luke and Mara acting as a distraction, Tahiri is able to ambush him and cause him to fall through a roof to his death. The team flies back to Borleias, finding the mighty Lusankya a wreck. However, this is part of Wedge's plan. He looks to use the false threat of the Starlancer superweapon to feint an all-out attack on the Yuuzhan Vong. Starlancer was deployed the entire time and has no real military capabilities. Zulkong Law notices the Lusankya flying out to meet his fleet and orders it to be destroyed. Wedge arranges his forces in a way to draw the Yuuzhan Vong warships away from the Lusankya, which charts a course towards Zulkong's warship. Jaina and the Twin Sun Squadron are relentlessly hounded, but manage to fight off all the pursuers. As the Star Destroyer comes closer, Zulkong Law notices it has been outfitted with a large spear. Meanwhile, Jaina's technological tricks are creating havoc with the world ship's data flow, conveying there are seemingly 5 Millennium Falcons involved in the battle. Zulkong Law recognizes the inevitable and contacts his son. He relays that Borleias cannot be retaken and resigns himself to death. The Lusankya rams the world ship, killing the Yuuzhan Vong commander. It is a great victory for the New Republic, one that has bought them valuable time to plan their next offensive. Jacen Solo is being tortured in the embrace of pain, held in captivity by the Yuuzhan Vong. All he has is the Force. He cannot reach out to Jaina, who he has felt sliding to darkness. His pain would only compound hers. Jacen is frequently visited by the enigmatic Vergir, who betrayed him to the Yuuzhan Vong. He is able to deduce she is Force-sensitive, but seems to not be a Jedi. His world becomes reduced to simply white, void of the Force, and Jacen begins to learn to embrace the pain he is in. However, his mental walls owned by Jedi training will only erode over time. Despite this, Jacen slowly begins to understand Vergir's mysterious teachings. He realizes pain can become power, a bridge to great accomplishments. His fight against the White begins. All this is being observed by Nomanor and Savong Law. Nomanor in particular believes Jacen has discovered an internal strength that will lead him to the true way, a transformation into a great Yuuzhan Vong warrior. Jacen is finally released from the embrace of pain, but cannot feel a connection to the Force anymore. He is led by Vergir onto a seed ship, which will transform a planet into a new homeworld for the Yuuzhan Vong. Hundreds of slave gangs labor in the alien world. They are engaged in mindless, redundant tasks and seem to have been reduced to barbarism. The gangs are mentally controlled by duriums, fully intelligent organisms capable of making decisions to influence a planet's transformations. They are incredibly powerful, exceeding the telepathic capabilities of even Yamasks. Vergir stabs Jacen in the chest, implanting a slave seed that subjects him to being controlled by a durium. Jacen becomes part of a slave gang, and it is weeks before he sees Vergir again. The durium and Jacen develop a mutual understanding that Jacen cannot be swayed by pain, the main tool used to control the slaves. Jacen is even able to make the durium understand that healthier slaves will help it accomplish its goals quicker. He asks Vergir if she is a Sith. She replies by asking him if being a Sith or Jedi is the only choice. If the Force is life, how can there be life without the Force? Time passes and Jacen's working partnership with the durium continues to grow. The durium is competing with others on the planet to become the world brain for the eventual new Yuuzhan Vong homeworld in this galaxy. He continues to puzzle over Vergir's words. Eventually, Jacen realizes the answer. There is no life without the Force. Similar to Anakin's philosophical epiphany, Jacen comes to understand the Yuuzhan Vong operate in a part of the Force beyond what the Jedi can sense. Jacen realizes he has always done this as well. He has a knack for creating bonds beyond simple empathy with alien species. The captured planet of Coruscant has nearly been reshaped. It will be dubbed Yuuzhan Tar, the planet the duriums are competing for control over. The day of decision arrives, and Numenor and Vergir await to see what Jacen will do. Vergir believes Jacen's time in the slave gang under the cruel whip of the Yuuzhan Vong has made him realize he has more strength akin to the masters than the slaves. Ignoring the durium's nerve impulses that tell him to flee, Jacen stands alone in an amphistaff grove. Dealing with searing pain, he encounters several Yuuzhan Vong warriors. Jacen forms an empathetic connection with the amphistaffs and wears them as armor. He attacks the warriors, not using the Force, but his newfound sense of empathetic perception that is the same, yet different. Jacen initiates a riot amongst the slaves and kills all of the duriums, falling into a haze of white. A vision of Anakin appears, convincing him to spare his durium. Vergir arrives and uses her tears to paralyze Jacen. He awakens on the reshaped Coruscant, now known as Yuuzhan Tar. It is an alien world, constantly moving with countless shimmering colors and filled with natural wonders. Above him is a stunning rainbow ring. His durium, by default, is now the world brain of the planet. He is visited once more by Vergir, who asserts he is not a Jedi and the beauty he sees around him is the fruit of his rage. Jacen knows he has changed forever. He will never be the same Jedi he once was. Free, but now seemingly without a purpose, Jacen wanders the transformed planet with Vergir. They come across a massive crater, which Vergir says is a bastion of the dark side. She continues to throw philosophical arguments at Jacen that blur the line between light and dark. He also learns that they are under the site of the old Jedi Temple. They are pursued by Yuuzhan Vong infantry, who look to kill Jacen for his crimes earlier. They flee down into the crater. It is also revealed the slave seed Vergir planted in Jacen, which has since been removed, has granted him the ability to sense the Yuuzhan Vong's presence. He runs further into the darkness, with the temptation of the dark side growing stronger. Despite this, Jacen tells Vergir he strongly believes he is still a Jedi. She lifts the illusion, throwing the room into light, and Jacen realizes he is trapped by the Yuuzhan Vong and Numenor. He falls into a red rage and lashes out, unleashing Force lightning. Coming back to his senses, Jacen is shocked how in that moment he found everything to be clean, pure, and simple. The answer to his anger was someone else's pain. It horrifies him. A wounded Vergir asks him why the Jedi would build their temple on the nexus of the dark side. There is no light or dark, there is only the Force. Jacen flees the wreckage, not knowing what to think. Jacen stumbles through a storm, struggling to come to terms with how easily he had fallen to his anger. He arrives at his family's old apartment, where Vergir finds him once again. Numenor also arrives, and urges him to turn his back on the Force. Jacen is offered to convert to the Yuuzhan Vong religion, and is given Anakin's lightsaber. He agrees to accept the Yuuzhan Vong ways. Meanwhile, Ganner Rysode has been searching the galaxy for Jacen. He encounters a group of Yuuzhan Vong infiltrators and Jacen himself, and is taken to Yuuzhan Tar as a prisoner. Jacen leads Ganner to his execution, revealing he has only been pretending to be converted. He tells Ganner the Yuuzhan Vong have decreed him to be the avatar of one of their gods. They head to the Well of the World Brain, with Jacen well aware he still has not gained the full trust of Numenor and the Yuuzhan Vong yet. Ganner and Jacen reach the well, located in the former Senate's Grand Convocation Chamber. Jacen tells Ganner he plans to kill the World Brain, his former Durium. Ganner decides to sacrifice himself by fighting off the Yuuzhan Vong warriors while Jacen handles the World Brain. Numenor sends countless warriors against Ganner, who builds a mountain with their dead. Vergir arrives, seemingly undisturbed at the developments. She is able to get Numenor to reveal where he has hidden his escape ship. She traps Numenor by calling on the Force to ensnare him with cables and vines. Ganner has fallen into a battle flow, but is soon bleeding from several wounds. He dies, at peace with his decision to give Jacen time to escape. Jacen re-emerges from his talks with the World Brain, having decided not to kill it. He meets Vergir, who gives him his lightsaber, and they fly away. On the ship, Jacen reveals he taught the World Brain how to compromise, believing it to be on their side now, not the Yuuzhan Vong or the New Republics. Vergir is proud of Jacen for applying her lessons, and they fly back to the war, a new third party in the conflict.